Now, everybody knows that recessions are brutal, right? But they're also predictable. When the economy tanks, it's always the same types of people making the same types of mistakes that go broke. So today, we're breaking down who gets wiped out in a recession from first to last. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to become recession-proof. Welcome to Alux, the place where future billionaires come to get inspired. Alright, so let's start off with the first and most obvious group to get wiped out here: overspenders. These are the people who always upgrade their lifestyle the moment they get a raise, and sometimes they even go beyond that, spending money they don't really have. Take, for example, a software engineer who's been job hopping and getting raises at every new company they join. With every pay bump, they get new clothes, a fancier apartment, that car they've been eyeing up. It's always something, and why not, right? Life is good, it's getting better, and they figure, well, I can afford it, and even if something happens, I can just cut back. But then a recession hits. The economy tanks, layoffs sweep through their industry, and suddenly all of their little luxuries become serious liabilities. What overspenders don't realize is they can't just cut back like that. Rent is still due, gas for that expensive car doesn't magically get cheaper, and those car payments, yeah, they're non-negotiable. When income dries up, what's left is the same expensive monthly bills piling up with no paycheck to cover them. Here's the thing, okay? Overspenders think they're living their best life because they deserve to enjoy the money they've earned. And yes, you do deserve to enjoy your hard work, but not at the expense of your financial future. Luxuries have a sneaky way of turning into burdens. Cars, homes, vacations, even those streaming subscriptions, when things go south, they can drown you in expenses faster than you think. Now, if this hits a little too close to home for you, don't panic, okay? The solution is as simple as following the golden rule of personal finance. Just spend less than you earn. We're not telling you to cancel Netflix and start clipping coupons, okay? Just don't let your lifestyle drain your wallet completely. Alright, so moving along, the next group to get wiped out by a recession are emotional decision makers. When some people hear the word recession, it's like a gun went off. Their fight or flight instinct kicks into high gear, they feel cornered, and they start making financial decisions in the heat of the moment, which is never a good idea. Now, this can play out in a lot of ways. Maybe it's an entry-level employee who hears rumors of layoffs. They start spreading gossip about their coworkers and try to secure a promotion, but they end up getting fired. Maybe it's an investor who watches the stock market plummet. They panic sell all of their positions at a massive loss and decide to hoard the cash under their mattress. Or maybe it's a middle-class dad who decides to pour the kid's college fund into a struggling company he thinks is destined for a comeback, but instead goes bankrupt. The common thread here is that these people are acting out of emotion. They feel like they have to do something, so doing anything makes them feel better, like they're in control. They tell themselves, I'm being proactive, I'm protecting myself. But the problem is that these decisions are based on fear or excitement or even guilt sometimes. Feeling that is totally normal, especially during uncertain times. But come on, emotions are terrible financial advisors. Recessions are tough, okay, but they are temporary. On average, they last around 10 months. So the key to avoiding this mistake is to just slow down. Before you sell anything you own or bet the farm on a risky investment, take a step back and ask yourself if this move aligns with your long-term goals. You'll find that you won't just survive the storm, no, you'll come out stronger on the other side. Next up, we gotta talk about those risk takers because, there is no reward without risk. That's just life. But when that risk is the collapse of the entire economy, we're just in a little bit of trouble. Risk takers are people who chase huge returns by putting their money into speculative assets. This has the potential to make you incredibly rich. But most people make the same mistake, and when the recession comes, it's a very costly one. Picture a young accountant who's setting aside some of their income to invest in crypto every month. That's a good strategy, but the thing is, they're putting every penny of their savings on the same coin because one day it's gonna go to the moon. I mean, yeah, sure, but the ride up isn't a straight line. At first, everything seems great. The coin's value is skyrocketing. It's up 10x from where they bought it. But this is just the start. Diamond hands, baby. And then that market crashes. Suddenly, the coin loses 99% of its value, and our friend has no savings left to weather the recession with. Risk takers, they know they're playing with fire, and sure, the flames are exciting until you get burned. During a recession, stuff like crypto and promising new startups are usually the first in line at the chopping block, leaving risk takers with nothing to fall back on. But it doesn't have to be that way, okay? If you're the kind of person who loves a good Hail Mary, the good news is that bold risks have their place, okay? But they should never be your whole financial strategy. As long as you spread your money across some ironclad investments and have some emergency cash at hand, well, you should be able to survive a recession no problem and still have some money left to bet on the next big thing. But you know, one of the most vulnerable groups in a recession is anyone who's been reckless with debt. You see, debt can feel like a shortcut to building wealth. You can use it to fund your lifestyle, make big purchases, and even invest. But when a recession comes and that cash stops flowing, things can quickly spiral out of control. Just look back at the 2008 financial crisis, where millions of American homeowners were caught in a perfect storm of bad debt. Banks were handing out money like it was candy, and people were buying homes they could not afford, assuming interest rates would stay low and housing prices would keep rising forever. And for a while, they did. People were living the American dream, thinking they'd made a smart financial move. But then reality hit. Interest rates went up, and suddenly people's monthly payments doubled or even tripled. And to make matters worse, housing prices crashed. So even selling the home you had wasn't enough to pay back your loan. Many families lost everything. They were buried in debt, their credit was destroyed, and their financial futures were derailed for years. What many people learned from that financial crisis is that debt doesn't care if you've had a rough month or if the economy is in a recession. If you're not in debt yet, the best advice is to avoid it as much as possible. If you are in debt, make paying off the high-interest loans your first priority and don't take on any more unless it is absolutely necessary. But if you do have to borrow, whether it's to fund a business or to buy a home, limit your debt to whatever you can handle even when life gets tough, not just when it's good. Debt can actually be a powerful tool, but only if you know how to manage it wisely. Now, the next group that struggles during a recession are people whose skills are so narrowly focused on one role or one industry that when the economy shifts, they're left stranded. It's not that they're not talented, they might even be experts, but their expertise is tied to something that only has demand in certain situations. Imagine a programmer specializing in a niche coding language for gaming companies. In the good times, they're working on groundbreaking stuff, but when a recession hits, companies in the gaming industry start cutting costs and shift their focus to safer projects instead. Suddenly, that programmer is out of a job and their niche skills don't translate easily to other industries. Traditional education systems often push us to specialize in one field. The idea is that if you master a unique skill set, you'll have no competition. But the problem is, there won't always be a demand for every specific set of skills. And that's why it's so important to be adaptable and to know how to do a little bit of everything. Now, this quote by Robert A. Heinlein, who is a science fiction author, naval officer, and aeronautical engineer, he sums it up quite well. A human being should be able to change a diaper, plan an invasion, butcher a hog, con a ship, design a building, write a sonnet, balance accounts, build a wall, set a bone, comfort the dying, take orders, give orders, cooperate, act alone, solve equations, analyze new problems, pitch manure, program a computer, cook a tasty meal, fight efficiently, and die gallantly. Specialization is for insects. So, if you're someone who's specialized in a single skill or niche, Well, it is time to expand your horizon, my friend. Now, the one thing we've learned so far is that adaptability is truly the ultimate safety net. Recessions, career changes, and shifts in the economy don't wait for anyone, and being stuck in a narrow skill set can leave you incredibly vulnerable. That's why learning how to learn is the single most valuable skill that you can have. Think about it. Industries evolve, technologies change, and opportunities come and go, but if you know how to pick up new skills quickly and effectively, you're never out of options. You can pivot, adapt, and thrive in any situation. And that's exactly why we've created the Alux Learning Mastery course. Now, this one isn't just about learning one particular new skill, it's about mastering the process of learning itself. Whether you're tackling a new language, developing technical skills, or even exploring completely new industries, this course gives you the tools to absorb information faster, retain it longer, and apply it effectively in your life. Because here's the truth, okay? Being a jack of all trades doesn't mean you're average. It means you're ready for anything life throws at you. So if you want to stay ahead of the curve and build a skill set that can weather any storm, check out our Learning Mastery course. The link is in the description. Because the best thing you can be in life is a jack of all trades and a master of some. Alright, so let's get back to our list. Now we're on to some people who will still be affected by a recession, but might last a little bit longer. There's a lot you can learn from them. Okay, so first of all, there are the underprepared savers. These guys are on a good track. They're saving money, which puts them ahead of those who live paycheck to paycheck, but they're still not fully ready for what the recession can throw at them. Take a young sales rep in the US who's living within their means, staying out of debt, and has managed to save around $12,000 in a basic savings account. In this economy, $12,000 in savings almost gives them the right to brag. Today, the average American 20-something-year-old has about $13,000 of debt and only around $5,500 in savings, so yeah, our sales rep is feeling pretty confident. They think, I've got some money saved, I'll be fine no matter what. But even though that's definitely a great start, it is not the full picture. A recession might not wipe out an underprepared saver right away, but if they don't take these steps, they're still in risk. Think about it. When a recession hits and they lose their job, groceries, rent and car payments, and other living expenses pile up faster than they expect. Within around 3 months' time, that safety net they worked so hard to build is completely gone. Like we said before, recessions tend to last around 10 months on average. That means they're stuck with no income and no savings for the majority of this downturn. The lesson here is that when you think you've saved enough, save some more. To really recession-proof yourself, you need 2 things: an emergency fund and the strategy to grow your savings. First, aim for 8 to 12 months of living expenses in a safe account that you can access quickly if things get tough. That's your safety net. And second, make your money work for you by investing in relatively safe and diversified assets that outpace inflation. That's the key to building a solid financial foundation. But wealth isn't only measured in paper. In fact, assets are how most fortunes are built. But if a recession comes and you find yourself sitting on a bunch of assets but no cash, well, it could still wipe you out. The next folks we're talking about are the asset-rich but the cash-poor. These people are wealthy in assets like properties or equipment, but they don't actually have much cold hard cash on hand. On paper, they look financially secure. Sure, they might even feel untouchable. But a recession can put them in serious trouble. Imagine you're the owner of a toy-making company and you invest all of your cash to buy brand new machines. That's called betting on yourself, and usually it's a smart move. In the good times, kids are buying toys and those machines are paying for themselves and then some. But when sales drop during a recession, you still have to pay all of your employees and keep the lights on. But remember, you used all of your cash to buy those machines. And now you have to sell them to stay afloat. Of course, those machines are definitely valuable, but it's industrial equipment. You can't sell them from one day to the next. It takes a lot of time to find a buyer who's willing to pay a good price for them, especially during a recession, so suddenly, your whole business starts to fall apart. People who own a bunch of assets like this often think their financial future is 100% secure. Normally, they're not wrong. Assets like property and equipment are valuable, but during a recession, value alone isn't enough. When times are tough, liquidity is king. So no matter how much you're invested in assets, always keep a portion of your wealth in cash. And if you're reinvesting in your business, it's never a bad idea to have a reliable flow of cash. And that's the takeaway here, okay? Being recession-proof isn't just about being wealthy on paper, it's about being ready for any situation. And that brings us to our final group, the survivors. Now, these are the people who've done the work to set themselves up for success, no matter what the economy throws their way. They're not invincible, of course, but they've built the kind of financial resilience that lets them adapt and thrive even in the worst of times. Think of dual-income households where both partners save aggressively, invest in solid assets, and keep an emergency cash fund with a year's worth of living expenses. When a recession hits, they have no debt. They only have to worry about covering their usual living expenses. And on top of that, they've diversified their income streams because if one partner loses their job, the other one can hold down the fort while they find another one. So instead of scrambling to pay bills, they're calmly assessing their situation and even looking for opportunities. Maybe they put a small percentage of their stock portfolio into an undervalued company or invest in a rental property. These are solid financial habits: saving consistently, avoiding unnecessary debt, and investing responsibly. Recession survivors know that making it through a tough time in wealth is not about how much you have, but how well you manage what you do have. They build systems that work in good and bad times. The truth is that recessions don't wipe everyone out. They wipe out the unprepared and actually reward those who are ready. During recessions, survivors are just surviving. It doesn't sound like much, but once the storm passes, they're in a position that most people would envy. They're safe. Now, Aluxer, if you're ready to start seriously leveling up your life, come and join us on the Alux app. We've got all the tools you need to crush your goals in 2025. If you download the app and scan the QR code on screen right now, you'll get our biggest discount ever, 50% off the yearly membership. But this sale ends when February begins, so if you want to make sure 2025 is the year that you finally make it happen for yourself, well, you know what to do, my friend. Scan that QR code and get started. By this time next year, everyone will be asking how you got so far so fast. I'll be right there with you, guiding you on the app every single day. See you on the inside.